and welcome to the Paranormal Project. I'm Jenna.
I'm Ryan, and today's topic we're going into urban legends. And the first urban legend we're going to be talking about is SlenderMan. So, let's get slendy. So, who is the SlenderMan? The SlenderMan is a paranormal entity who is described as being between 6 to 14 feet tall, which is, fucking tall. He's known to wear a black suit, white shirt, black tie, and is notably a pale, featureless creature that has no face features. Now he can explode appendages from his back, which can help him capture his victims, which is great for you as you don't like octopuses.
I don't know.
No, so he's basically a really big octopus.
My worst nightmare. Slendy
with his fingers.
SlenderMan can selectively be visible to whoever he chooses. He can read minds and he can teleport. He would stalk his victims, primarily children, but beware, as anyone can be distressed by his presence. Dum dum dum.
So where does SlenderMan come from? Now, the origin of SlenderMan is unclear. It's hazy. And while there are some theories that relate to SlenderMan back throughout our history, most of the relations just don't really hold water. For instance, there are similarities of a tall, multi-limbed being seen in cave paintings and woodcuts in Germany, created by a guy called Hans Freckenberg, which were depicting Der Grossman, which translates as the tall man. And even a comparison to the English myth of the tree man. It's just a story that parents would tell their kids if they were being naughty.
The facts.
The facts.
SlenderMan is a fictional character. Fictional. Okay. He was created in 2009 for a Photoshop competition. The competition was to create some sort of paranormal, creepy image, and it was created online by someone called Victor Surge, whose real name is Eric Knudsen, in the Something Awful forum. He used 2 regular black and white photos, both which included children, and edited his new mysterious creation, SlenderMan, into the background. A caption of one of his photos stated, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." Yeah.
So Victor Surge stated that SlenderMan is an open source creature that can create and attach whatever you find frightening to him. That's why he will victimize you in vulnerable areas such as the woods or abandoned places, and even in your dreams. So it's like most people are scared of the dark, so you attribute the fact, SlenderMan hangs around in the dark, so then when it's dark you now think of SlenderMan maybe being in the dark, or like an abandoned building. Abandoned buildings are generally quite creepy places, but if we also now know part of the mythos is that SlenderMan likes to hang around in abandoned buildings, you're now going to think that maybe SlenderMan hangs around in abandoned buildings. You're almost creating the myth as you go, and that's the whole kind of point of him. And Surge created the image of SlenderMan and left it open for others to use their imagination. So the original image of SlenderMan does not contain appendages hanging out his back, does it? It's just...
No, it's just a man.
Which you guys will have placed on like the video, right? It's just a dude in the back of a scene of a park, but in later images he's got like all these appendages hanging out. That's the whole point. So Surge created him to like be open for anyone to create and edit and basically just use your imagination. Let's try and create the scariest fucking creature that exists. Which, it's caused a bit of controversy. So on one hand, the character of SlenderMan has created a huge fandom, introducing many people through forms such as creepypastas, which is where we really sort of heard of him. But some of the most famous things we've seen him is video games such as SlenderMan: The Arrival, and even in 2018 a film, The SlenderMan, was made. And on one other end of the scale, this fictional being has had far too much power over people's reality and has influenced horrific events.
So on the 31st of May 2014 in Waukesha in Wisconsin, 2 12-year-old girls sacrificed their friends to SlenderMan by stabbing her 19 times. Morgan Geiser and Anissa Wire led their best friend Peyton Lutner into the woods to play a game of hide and seek. Anissa convinced Peyton to lay on the floor and hide in some leaves and dirt. What followed was the turning point in their game of hide and seek. Anissa stood and watched as Morgan started to stab Peyton with a 5-inch knife in the arms, torso and legs. They left Peyton in the woods as they went to get help. Peyton attempted to crawl her way out of the woods to safety when a nearby cyclist stumbled upon her on a patch of grass. The two girls were found 5 hours later on the highway. They were apparently looking for SlenderMan's mansion in the woods. Now, when in questioning at the police station, Morgan stated that, "I didn't want to do this. I was afraid of what would happen if I did." And later, when the detective asked why she did it, she stated, "Anissa told me we had to, and that SlenderMan would kill our families if they didn't follow through." Peyton recovered after 6 days in a hospital.
Jeez.
Yeah, horrible. And in 2017, December, Anissa was sentenced to be committed to a psychiatric hospital for 25 years, and in February 2018, Morgan was sentenced to spend 40 years in a mental health unit.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
So, how old were these again? So Anissa is...
They were both 12 at the incident.
in
That happened in
2014.
2014.
So, Anissa is 15 when she then gets told, "You're going to now spend 25 years in a psychiatric hospital." And then Morgan, around a similar age, is then told she's going to spend 40 years in a mental health unit. Is there a difference between a mental health unit and a psychiatric hospital?
To be fair, I don't know.
As a psychiatric hospital, to me, springs to mind beds, straps, injections in the neck if you get a bit too excited. Mental health unit, to me, suggests like an old people's home where like it's kind of, you can mill around, you've got your own room,
little games,
maybe they've got visitors. Because Anissa is the person who was like, she convinced the other one to like join in.
So Anissa never stabbed her or did anything. She was the one that stood back and watched.
Right.
Morgan was the one that actually stabbed her 19 times.
I have not listened. So Morgan's the one that done the stabbing.
Yeah.
Anissa is the one who just watched, and yet Anissa's the one who's in a psychiatric hospital and Morgan's the one in a mental health unit. Maybe we just don't know what a mental health unit in a psychiatric hospital is. But even still...
Well, that's why Anissa only got 25 years and Morgan got 40. Because Morgan actually committed murder.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, but like, yeah, Victor Surge's sat at home, he's like put on his TV and it's like, oh, two girls think they can go to SlenderMan's mansion and then like they had to sacrifice their friend to do it. And he's going, oh shit, I created that. Like, would you feel a bit of guilt creating a character like that people take too seriously?
He actually found out about this story and he wrote a short statement, and I believe he wrote a letter to the fam. No, he didn't. He just wrote a short statement, almost apologising for what this has become, but it's not his fault at all. Do you think it's not like he shouldn't? I get that he'd feel guilty.
So yeah, you feel guilt because you created it, but like there are so many instances in like pop culture, film, all that kind of stuff where violence or something of like some nasty element is depicted and then someone copies it. You cannot then be held accountable for creating that.
Yeah.
Like everyone talks about how like video games create violence. Well, it turns out that doesn't. There's been so many studies that come out and proved it does not create. Video games do not create violent people. Because if that was the case, movies would as well. Like, someone watching Die Hard would then go out and start, like, climbing through fucking air vents and shooting people off top of buildings and stuff. Like, it doesn't happen. So, yeah, maybe Victor shouldn't feel guilty about it. SlenderMan is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's a documentary of the stabbing, this incident, which I found on YouTube, which is quite interesting. If you haven't watched it, I would actually recommend watching it. But, Anissa actually said, when in questioning, someone asked her, "What is SlenderMan?" And she said, "He's a fictional character that we found on creepypastas online, creepypasta wiki, I believe the website is." And she just stated that she knows it's fictional, and she knows that creepypastas are there to scare people, and they're just scary stories. Yet she managed to create him real in her life. She managed to bring him to reality, even though she knew that it wasn't real. That's what's mad. That's why obviously she has gone to a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, because evidently there's more to it. Like, if she's now admitting that I didn't believe by sacrificing my friend I'd go to SlenderMan's mansion.
No, she believed that.
She did?
Yeah. That's why, and they literally they searched for 5 hours for his mansion. This is why it's a bit like, it's a bit weird.
It's stupid.
I mean, it is stupid and it's quite sad. But that's not the only incident that's happened. There's been a couple of other ones. Another one happened in the same year from a 13-year-old who attacked her mum whilst wearing a white mask covering her face, kind of like SlenderMan. She attempted to stab her mum in order to please SlenderMan. And then another incident happened by a 14-year-old girl, all similar ages, who set fire to her house while her mum and brother were still inside, and then she said she had to do it for SlenderMan.
See, one, I want to point out, pubescent girls are the scariest thing on the planet, right? Once they start bleeding, they start going crazy. Like, they can get scary. We'll find out as we go. Almost every single fucking paranormal ghostly experience happens to a little girl as soon as she starts coming on her period. Do you know what I mean? As soon as they start menstruating and doing all that stuff and hit puberty, paranormal shit starts happening to them. They get creeped out by it. Or they're the scariest thing in the world. Because
Brian's scared of little girls, basically.
Well, we haven't seen any stories of like young lads doing it, like killing each other. Probably because they're too busy playing Call of Duty.
That's not true. There's loads of stories. What's that, James?
Oh, Bulges, yeah, but that's not to do with SlenderMan.
Oh, no,
they weren't getting caught up in like creepypastas and whatever.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like these little girls, for some reason, have this some sort of. I'd be interested to know if their dads are still around in their life.
They are.
Oh, they are.
They are. These two
Were they
girls.
nice dads?
They seem lovely. They seem like, well, actually, I think in the documentary, I can't remember which girl it was, but one of them, only the mum was featured, and then the other one, they had loving mum and dad. And a loving
blows my theory out the window, because I'm thinking, like, they're looking at SlenderMan and they're idolising him and fancying him, and then creating this sort of weird story that involves their man SlenderMan, and their minds are all gobbledygook and just do some weird shit.
But people are weird. We even found SlenderMan fan fiction of just weird scenarios where people were in love with SlenderMan.
Yeah, yeah.
People are strange.
Yeah, we found some Slendy porn and
yeah. I mean, we did read
fanfic.
quite a lot. Maybe we were kind of getting into it.
Slendy fanfic where SlenderMan likes to purr a lot.
Purred.
He purrs in your ear, and there's one of them where like some woman was sitting there. Was she ill or something? No, SlenderMan sat at his desk. And he's like doing some work, tapping away at his laptop, and he's all stressed with his plain face that's got nothing going on. And he's all stressed, his tie's a bit undone, and she's like, oh, Slendy, like, come to bed or something. I think she's not well, isn't it? She's like not well or something.
I can't remember, we read quite a few.
He's like stroking her face, and he's like, it's okay, honey, it's okay. And then Slendy pulls out his slender appendage, and it gets bad, like it gets really bad. But yeah, SlenderMan's creepy.
To be fair, it is creepy. I remember the first time I met SlenderMan was through the game, which I'd still love to play now, like occasionally.
So the first time I played that game, I was actually at university. Now there is an age difference here between the two of us, right? So
yeah, I was in preschool when he was at uni.
You were a teenager when you would come across it. I was a late teen. I was at university, and I remember being in my dorm room with like the rest of my flatmates. Lights are off, we're on my laptop, and I crapped my pants. I'm not good with this sort of stuff. I don't even know why I'm on this channel, but I'm here. But
scaredy cat.
Yeah, no, the idea of SlenderMan creeps me out.
But I would still be creeped out, but still want to play that game in the dark on my own.
Yeah, so the premise of the game, for anyone who hasn't played, and if you haven't played, I don't understand where you've been, you're tasked with going through the woods. This was the first game that ever came out. You're tasked with going through the woods, and you have to find like 8 pieces of paper, and all you've got is like...
You've got a torch.
A torch, and you're walking around, and the closer like SlenderMan gets, the more static you get on the screen. And then obviously when he gets really close, it turns around, there's SlenderMan, it screams at you.
It is tense.
It's kind of tense, it's really creepy. So in conclusion, SlenderMan, real or not?
Leave it up to you. I mean, I don't think he's real.
So you don't think SlenderMan's real. I don't think SlenderMan's real, but there's one thing quickly we want to talk about. It's something that I brought up when we were looking into research for this episode, and it's called the Tulpa effect. Now the Tulpa effect is a phenomena where you can create a being by thinking about it. Thinking about it so hard you bring it into existence, right?
Which must be what that Anissa did.
Yes, so it's a really perfect example of how the Tulpa effect has worked, and it's really fucking strong and powerful, is that with Surge, it's Surge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Victor Surge has created this entity that he's basically given everyone free reign to create. Do what you want with it, put appendages on it, create more mythos about it. Now, the more people that attach stuff to it, the more real he gets, the more into our world he becomes. Whereas before he was just, you know, an internet phenomenon. Now he's like a legit spooky guy, as real as the boogeyman is to most kids, right?
Mm.
You could say to a kid, "Oh, SlenderMan will get you up." They'll probably know what that means. They'll be just as scared as if you told them it's the boogeyman. They probably wouldn't even be scared of the boogeyman anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what's happened in these cases that we've shown, like with the teenage girls. They've created this character, and he's so real to them in their minds. There is no like question. He doesn't exist. And of course he does. He does exist. And I would argue, in some sense, he does exist because people allow him to exist.
So you've heard our opinions, our thoughts, you've heard the facts, you've heard the origin, you've seen some pictures and videos. Let us know what you think about SlenderMan. Good old Slendy. Is he real? I don't think he is, but you kind of can see why people think he is and see how he can come into reality.
Mm.
Creepy stuff.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you continue watching this series as we dive into urban legends. Make sure you click that bell so you can get constant notifications for more videos on our urban myths.
Make sure you like and subscribe, and also we do have a email in our description below. Feel free to send us any scary stories, any urban legends that you'd like us to research and do a video on. He wants to read some of your SlenderMan porn, if you've got any lying around.
If you've got any Slender fanfic, I want you to email us, because I want to read it. And I will probably do a series where I will read this stuff out for you guys.
You have to do it in a good voice though.
I will do it, I will read it out, I'll do it in a funny voice, I'll do it in accents, whatever you want.
You'll do
bar
it.
a couple of them. I will do it for you.
But yeah, thanks guys for watching. See you next week.
Ta-ra.